Oh yeah, it's a microphone review. You know what that means. Well, hello there, ladies and gents. I'm Tammy Sipnewski. Thank you so much for popping by my channel. In this video, we're going to take a look at the brand new microphone from Maono, the AU-PM500. You guys, I have to say, I'm really excited to review this microphone because you can't even get this microphone yet. They sent me one of their pre-launches, which that's never happened to me before. I've never gotten anything before it's released, so it's very exciting. Now let's talk about everything you're going to get when you purchase this microphone. Of course, you're going to get the microphone, and the microphone itself is an all-metal body. Even the mesh grill is completely metal, and it's very strong. There's not much give when you're pressing on it. I would even say that there's really no give when you're pressing on it. So it's a very high-quality built microphone. Now, the shock mount is plastic, but I have to say, it's not one of those shock mounts that feels like it's been cheaply made and cheaply put together. Even though it's plastic, it is really well built and feels like a very high quality piece of gear. They also supply you with a pop filter that's made specifically for this microphone, and I love that because, you know, sometimes you get microphones and they just throw in any old pop filter into the package. So you have this sleek little beautiful cute microphone, and next thing you know, there's a pop filter that's like 6 inches round, covering up the whole thing and covering your face. I appreciate the fact that they specifically made this to cover just the microphone. And the pop filter itself is a metal build, with the exception of where you clamp it onto the shock mount. That's going to be plastic. And I think that's why they made those two components plastic, because they're meant to snap in together. They also supply you with the 3-pin XLR cable that runs into your audio mixer, and it is a low noise, high grade microphone cable. And the reason that I know that is because it's conveniently printed right on the cable. So that's not suspicious at all. And they also give you this gorgeous, beautiful carrying case. I mean, look at this thing. This is the kind of carrying case that I feel like when I'm walking down the street with it, I should have like a handcuff on my wrist and the other handcuff to this, just to see what people would think when they're looking at me like, ooh, she's got gems or cash. It's really nice on the inside. They have those foam cutouts for all the components. You can feel very confident that your microphone's not going to get damaged. Going to keep it nice and snug in there. Now that I've told you everything that you can expect when you purchase the microphone, let's talk about the microphone itself. It is a cardioid condenser microphone that does require 48 volts of phantom power. So if you don't have an audio mixer, you are going to need something to drive that 48 volts of phantom power. A cardioid microphone means it's going to pick up more elements of sound around the microphone. As a matter of fact, the lobe of sensitivity around the microphone looks like the shape of a heart, like that, hence the word cardioid. And right now I'm about 6 inches off the microphone, which is the optimal amount of space that you should be from a condenser microphone. And the way you should measure that out is by going like this. That's always going to be about 6 inches. Now I'm a foot off the microphone, and now this is 2 feet off the microphone, and now this is 3 feet off the microphone. Now let's do a self-noise test. Now, for a microphone that requires the 48 volts of phantom power, I do find this on the quiet side when it comes to the self-noise. This is the audio from the microphone on the left-hand side. This is the audio from the rear of the microphone. And this is the audio from the microphone on the left-hand side. This keeps losing the focus on my face. Something that really impressed me about this microphone is the fact that it's a large diaphragm microphone. So the actual capsule that's inside of the microphone, if it's 1 inch or bigger, they consider that a large diaphragm microphone. The good thing about the large diaphragm microphones is that they're better with cutting out ambient sounds. They're just, in general, a quieter microphone. There's going to be lower self-noise because you don't need so much gain to power this microphone. Obviously, the more gain that you use, the more that the self-noise is going to be, and then it's going to start picking up some of the other noises that are around you. This keeps losing focus on my face. But with a large diaphragm, you don't necessarily have to crank that much gain into it, so it's going to be better with cutting down on those ambient sounds. And I'm 6 inches off the microphone with the supplied pop filter. Let's do a plosive test. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peanuts. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peanuts. Great. I mean, I think that pop filter did really, really well at cutting out those plosives. Now, normally after the plosive test, I always do the proximity effect test. But before I do that, I want to draw your attention to the graphs that come with the supplied paperwork. And I forgot to mention that, by the way, of course, you do get a manual with the microphone. And I'm going to put these graphs up here for you now. If you want to pause the screen and look at them longer, you absolutely may. But I do want to draw your attention to the frequency response graph. Now, have a look at that graph. To me, it's a very, very flat microphone. Flat microphones are really good for voiceover work if you're using acoustic guitars. But the great thing about having a very flat microphone, with the exception about within the 5 and 6 kilohertz range, there is a little bit of a boost in that area. Other than that, it's a very, very flat microphone. Now, the reason that I pointed all of this out before I do the proximity effect, when you have a flat microphone like this, it's going to cut out the odds that it's going to add all of that bassiness when you're doing the proximity effect. So whenever you do the proximity effect, it means you're getting up very close to the microphone. And normally what that is going to do is add a lot of bass to your voice and artificially drop the sound of your voice. So let's do some comparisons, shall we? Now I have attached the Blue Spark Blackout Edition. This is also a condenser microphone that requires 48 volts of phantom power. Let's do a self-noise test on this. I find the self-noise of this microphone to be significantly louder, and it's also picking up a lot more of the ambient noises that are outside and also in the room with me. Now this is a sample of the Rode Pod mic, but I did have to boost the gain significantly in this because normally I do run a FET head through this because it's a very gain-hungry microphone, but let's do a self-noise test. And being that this is a dynamic microphone, you do have to get closer to it. You should be within 2 or 3 inches of a dynamic microphone. Dynamic microphones really shine at cutting out background or ambient noises. Now that we got all that aside, I just want to say this thing is a sexy, sleek microphone. Everything about this microphone is absolutely beautiful. I mean, really, it's just a good-looking mic. Think of all the things that you could do with this microphone if you just added a little bit of equalization, shall we? Now this is with just a little bit of equalization added. I'm having a hot flash. And this is the audio from the AU-PM500 with just a little bit of equalization added to it. With a low cut filter, I added in some highs, I added in some lows, and I cut out some of the mids. In general, I have flattered this microphone enough, so I am gonna bail, but I thank you very much for joining me, and until next time, please wear your sunblock and call your mom and dad just to say how much you love them.